Speech at a function in tribute of PDVSA employees and F.A.N. sailors. From The Fascist Coup Against Venezuela by Hugo Chavez. Delivered at Carranero, the state of Miranda, December 27th, 2002. Sir and Madam Ministers, managers of the Carranero plant, workers, citizens, senior officers, junior officers, non-commissioned officers, troopers, friends, workers, merchant marine officers, representatives of the media, friends all. Just a few hours ago, we were right here on this yard broadcasting Allo Presidente, a program that has reached out to the entire world. This broadcast was seen and heard from here. The message of everything we did and said here in Carranero last Sunday afternoon was transmitted throughout North America, the Southern Cone, and Europe. We wanted to come here again to extend a special recognition, and that's the reason why we are here again today. The reason we are here in body and soul is to pin these awards, the highest decorations in the Republic, the Order of the Liberator, and the Order Francisco de Miranda, on a group of civilian and military patriots who are currently teaching an example to Venezuela and the world, an example of many things, an example of the meaning of being a Bolivar's son, as you put it, my brother. That a group of plotters, irrespective of their names, that a destabilizing organization, that a destabilizing plan will bend Venezuela? Never. No one bends Venezuela. Applause and acclamation. First and foremost, because this is the cradle of freedom. This Caribbean, these mountains, those valleys, and those plains are silent witnesses of a deed that occurred here barely 200 years ago when we had an empire here, an empire that invaded us 500 years ago, an empire that sank its claws in the Venezuelan throat, an empire that ruled us for 300 long years. But from these very waters, hills, lands, and mounts emerged a heroic people that defeated the Spanish Empire right here, all the way from the Caribbean to the towering mountains of Bolivia and beyond. Half the free world, half the world of the Americas saw the Venezuelan people and soldiers march as they planted a seed of greatness, odyssey, and heroism. No one should forget that, because the Venezuelan people and its soldiers are made of this clay and history. No internal or external force, however strong it is or claims to be, will ever bend Venezuela or stop this people that is willing and ready to be free once again. That's why what has happened here in Carranero in the last few weeks is just a reflection of what has been happening all over Venezuela. Nearly a month ago, a group of plotters tried to rob us December, snatch our Christmas, and stab the heart of their own mother, for they are also Venezuelans, and Venezuela is the mother of us all. Venezuela is the mother, is the homeland, but we, civilian and military men and women and workers, stood our ground, and here we are. We have spared our homeland from the treacherous stab. Applause and acclamations. We have spared our homeland from the treacherous stab that was aimed at it with premeditation. Today it is gratifying to receive at our headquarters, the Palace of Miraflores, a status report on Venezuela and see that we are coming out of a critical situation our country was plunged into with its crude production and refining, as well as its gasoline, LPG, and food supplies. The economic and social life of our country has been threatened, but we have overcome the most critical situation, and we are now in full recovery. From here, Serenero, I tell the entire Venezuelan people that you can count on this revolutionary government, its workers and soldiers, and its men and women. You can rely on our love and our sense of Christians, for God is also on our side. And he had to be, of course, because we are fighting for justice, peace, equality, and equity in this unequal world we live in. Today, we are in recovery mode. Effective from yesterday, we have started to reopen the oil wells that had been shut down. Between yesterday and today, our crude output has increased quite significantly. The vessels that had been immobilized and were blocking almost all ports in the country are starting to sail with patriotic crews of Venezuelan merchant soldiers. Applause and acclamation. Supported by the Navy and the people. Right here in Serenero, we have a vessel that the plotters had made their destabilizing flagship, and they had claimed that no one would be able to move that vessel. And look, the Pilin Leon has moved. Applause and acclamation. It has moved, indeed. Since the resumption of its operations 4 or 5 days ago, after it was held still for more than 2 weeks, this tanker has unloaded 44 million liters of gasoline in Bajo Grande. It completed its unloading operation safely. They, the plotters, were against, for they argued that the tanker was going to blow because its operators didn't know what they were doing. That they didn't know? These people are expert workers, both onshore and offshore, and they unloaded the full gasoline cargo. They sailed out of the port, raised the anchor, and traveled to the state of F.A.N. And in Punta Cardon, they loaded gasoline again. Here is the tanker back, now unloading gasoline for Caracas, Miranda, Caranero, and the entire central Venezuela. Applause. When the unloading is completed tomorrow, the tanker will set sail for more gasoline to return the Venezuelans back to normalcy. I am sure that, within a few days or weeks, the long queues that many Venezuelans are still suffering, with a consequential loss of precious time sustained by entire families and workers, will disappear. Someone said something to him, and people applaud. The same is true for the LPG. A boat has unloaded a major LPG cargo. What's the name of the boat that was here? He is advised that the name is Victory. The Victory has already unloaded 35,000 barrels of LPG. So, the LPG is here, and we will begin to pump it soon. Men and women, families from Miranda, Caracas, and the whole central Venezuela, we have LPG available, and these patriotic men will begin to pump it to secure the timely delivery of the gas cylinders, both big and small, that feed the household stoves and ease our troubles. Applause. Someone from the audience speaks up. I know you cook with timber, that's fine. I also cook with timber. But anyway, this is good news. We are restoring the supply of fuel, gasoline, LPG, and gas oil. What this people did is a criminal act, a betrayal against the homeland, and still they boast of it as if this were funny. They attacked Venezuela's peace and tranquility. This is what these plotters have done, but they are being defeated once again, and will be defeated for good. Applause. Now we will board the Pilin Leon, where I will decorate its entire crew, starting with the shipmaster and his whole crew of patriots who have reactivated, steered, and will continue to steer their vessel to meet the needs of the Venezuelan people. We will extend a special recognition to them all, including the mates, junior officers, rank and filers, managers, workers, technicians, and members of the Merchant Marine, who have been awarded today the Order of the Liberator and the Order Francisco de Miranda. These are the highest decorations a Venezuelan can be awarded. Applause. I have made this decision because your actions are worthy of such recognition. You have been building our homeland. Just like Miranda and Bolivar, alongside with the Venezuelan people, freed Venezuela and half this continent from the Spanish yoke 200 years ago, you and all of us together are now freeing the Venezuelan people. It's a new freedom. It's a new feat of independence. We are ushering in a new era. We are fighting for our independence, not our political independence, but our economic independence. We are shaking the chains of poverty. Applause. The Venezuelan oil is one of our fundamental assets. By managing our oil and PDVSA properly, as will be the case now, and equitably distributing our oil earnings that represent a major weapon for the next few years, we will finally defeat hunger, backwardness, poverty, and destitution. And we will give Venezuela full freedom, political and economic freedom, and social equality. Applause and acclamation. We live in a world with much inequality, And only through the proper management of our country's resources will we be able to address these high rates of inequality. That's why, as sons and daughters of Bolivars, and I quote you, my brother, we have risen to Bolivar as the new liberators of Venezuela. I congratulate you all. I encourage you to move forward more united and steadfast every day for this new freedom in the land of Simon Bolivar. I hug you all, boys and girls. Applause and acclamation.